Today, we begin a two-part deep dive into one of the most talked about places on Earth, Greenland. Not because of its remote ice and small population, but because today, this huge island is a strategic pivot in global power dynamics. World leaders, from Washington to Copenhagen, Brussels to Beijing, are watching Greenland closely. President Donald Trump has repeatedly said it is critical to U.S. national security. Europe and NATO are recalibrating policy, and Russia and China are quietly asserting interests in the broader Arctic region. But what makes Greenland so important? In this first part, we explain location, military value, and global competition. Greenland is the world's largest island, with approximately 1.7 million square kilometers of land, almost 5 times the size of Texas, yet fewer than 60,000 people live there. What gives Greenland outsized importance is where it sits, between North America and Europe, over the Arctic Circle, near the North Atlantic Ocean. Adjacent to the critical GAUK Gap, the naval choke point between Greenland, Iceland, UK that controls access between the Arctic and the Atlantic Ocean. This location means Greenland is not a remote backwater. It is a gateway for military, trade, and strategic access between the world's most powerful regions. Greenland's military importance dates back to World War II and the Cold War, when it helped guard against threats from Europe and the Soviet Union. Today, in an era of renewed great power competition, its value is still based on location. Patuffik Space Base, a U.S. military installation in northwest Greenland, critical for missile early warning systems and space surveillance. It provides radar and tracking systems in the Arctic airspace, helps protect North America from potential missile threats over the North Pole. The Greenland, Iceland, UK, GAUK, gap remains a key maritime choke point. Control or close monitoring of this corridor allows detection of submarines, tracking of naval movements, dominance of Arctic naval access. These enduring strategic features make Greenland a uniquely valuable military asset for any power that controls or influences it. It is not just the United States thinking about Greenland, but the strategic competition involves multiple actors. United States. Washington has maintained a presence at Patuffik and sees Greenland as foundational for Arctic security. The White House has explicitly stated that Greenland is critical to counter Russia and China in the Arctic region. Russia. While Russian President Vladimir Putin has said Russia has no formal objections to who owns Greenland, Moscow still pursues Arctic influence through military expansion near its own Arctic coastline and missile capabilities. China. China labels itself a near-Arctic state and seeks to participate in Arctic governance and trade routes, though its direct presence in Greenland has been limited. This multipolar interest turns Greenland into a symbol and tool of Arctic influence, and a focus of strategic planning for the coming decades. One of Greenland's most consequential strategic features is the GAUK Gap. This maritime corridor between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK has been vital since the Cold War. Control of this gap grants early warning of naval and submarine movement, provides strategic depth for air and sea forces, links Atlantic defense to Arctic access. In a hypothetical confrontation between superpowers, whether Russia versus NATO or other scenarios, dominance in this passage could give a decisive advantage. Cue rising military exercises, Arctic patrols, and defense planning around the region, not because there is an imminent conflict, but because no power wants to be at a strategic disadvantage. Climate change is reshaping the Arctic. As sea ice retreats, new northern sea routes and transpolar passages are opening, shortening distances between Asia, Europe, and North America. Greenland sits at the doorstep of these emerging routes, placing it at the crossroads of potential future trade networks. While these routes are not yet major commercial highways, the potential economic shifts are profound. Shorter routes mean lower transport time and cost, reduced reliance on traditional canals like Suez, new geopolitical importance for Arctic infrastructure. The melting ice is not just a climate story, it is a geopolitical turning point. To summarize Part 1, Greenland's value flows from location and military geometry. Its military importance goes back decades and still matters today. Great powers are positioning to secure or influence the island. Emerging Arctic sea routes add economic relevance. In Part 2, we will take you deeper into Greenland's natural wealth, rare earths, mineral potential, and economic resources, and explain why Trump and others are focused on them, including what world markets and future technologies might stand to gain or lose. Stay tuned. This is World Affairs Today. Welcome back to World Affairs Today for part 2 of our deep dive on why Greenland matters more than almost any other island on Earth. In part 1, we explain strategic location, military value, and great power competition. Now we go deeper into resources, economic value, future trade, and technology supply chains, and why nations like the United States, European powers, and even China are paying attention. Greenland isn't just ice and cold. Under its surface lie significant rare earth elements, REs, and other minerals critical for modern technology. Estimates suggest Greenland has around 1.5 million metric tons of rare earth minerals, among the largest known deposits globally. Deposits of heavy rare earths used in electric vehicles, semiconductors, wind turbines, and defense systems. Other critical elements like uranium, copper, nickel, and titanium. Rare earth elements are essential for electric motors, batteries, advanced electronics, radar and missile guidance, renewable energy and defense technologies. Currently, most global rare earth supply, especially in processing, is dominated by China. Greenland's potential could diversify the supply chain and reduce strategic vulnerabilities. Greenland's continental shelf may also contain untapped oil reserves, natural gas deposits, potential gas hydrates, and hydrocarbons. The Arctic is estimated to hold around 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of its undiscovered natural gas, and Greenland's geology is part of that frontier. While extraction remains expensive and environmentally controversial, the economic stakes are massive. Energy resources that could reshape national energy security. New export possibilities as Arctic routes shorten transport. Long-term leverage in global energy markets. Arctic ice is melting at a rate 4 times faster than the global average, reshaping accessibility. As ice retreats, previously inaccessible mineral belts become reachable. Shipping corridors like the Northwest Passage and Transpolar Sea Route open for longer periods. Greenland becomes a staging area for commercial and military logistics. This transformation, driven by climate change, is a strategic game-changer, not merely an environmental story. Greenland's resources matter not just for extraction, but for the global supply chains of the 21st century. Control or access impacts, tech manufacturing, electric vehicles, renewable energy infrastructure, defense technology production. Rare earths in particular are essential for microchips, sensors, precision weapons, sustainable energy systems. Greenland's deposits could provide a new source to diversify away from heavy dependence on a single country's supply, a major strategic shift. President Donald Trump has repeatedly highlighted Greenland's importance for national security and strategic competition, framing it as necessary to counter Russia and China. But the motives are layered: security first, early warning, missile defense, space surveillance, economic potential, minerals, and future trade routes, strategic leverage, reducing dependence on other global powers. European leaders, including Denmark's Mette Frederiksen, have stressed territorial integrity and sovereignty, pushing for dialogue through NATO frameworks rather than unilateral moves. Greenland's own leadership also emphasizes the islanders' right to decide their future, not outsiders. Greenland's importance is not a parochial debate between two countries. Instead, it influences global trade routes, energy geography, supply chain security, military balance in the Arctic, technology, and critical material supply. It is a place where climate, economics, and security intersect, and that is why major powers, not just the US, are paying attention. Greenland may be cold and remote, but in the 21st century, it sits at the center of a global strategic puzzle. From rare earths to missile defense, from Arctic shipping routes to shifting alliances, Greenland matters in ways few anticipated just a generation ago. And as the Arctic transforms, humans and governments are paying much closer attention. This is World Affairs Today. Stay informed, stay strategic,